Good morning, Nerdy. Good morning, HB. Good morning, Jesse and Sir D. Good morning, Sir D. Good morning, Terry. Good morning, Mike. Dave Hart. Good morning, Dave. Nice to see you. Laura. There's a divine lady. Good morning, Laura Divine. Dave Hart. Good morning. Zozo LSD. Good morning. You guys do a great job here of lately. You guys have really been hitting the like button. Tiny terrorists. Is that better than a gigantic terrorist? Just asking. Which is better, a tiny terrorist, hidden and you can't see it, or a gigantic terrorist? Everybody sees it coming. Good morning, Tiny. Good morning, Herbie. Good morning, Joe. Good morning, everybody. Sneaky tickling terrorist. Ah, so he tickles. That's cute. Interesting. Cleaning, good morning. Too small to harm a fly. Okay. Harm is one thing we don't want to cause, right? Sare Bear, what kind of tea is this? We talk about psychedelics here a lot, but our main focus is on growth, personal growth, and mental health, and a new way to look at the world. The world's programmed us to look a certain way for our whole lives, the worldly view. And here we sort of reorganize that thought. We practice the 4 agreements, and we share the Tao Te Ching, a verse a day right now. I have about 30 verses left to go through, and then we'll move to another subject. But yeah, we laugh, we love, we learn. Pretty much what we do here. So thank you for asking, Dave. Cyber Jolie, good morning. There everybody is. I'm seeing you all now. 21 people, 14 likes. Is there any way I could talk a few of you into hitting the like button that you just may have forgotten? Remember that the like button isn't so I feel good about me. The way the algorithms work on YouTube is the more likes they see relative to the amount of viewers, then the more they randomly put the live feed, live stream out there, and we get a chance to see more people get a chance to check out what the heck we're doing over here. Like Dave Hart just asked. Good morning. So basically, you're hitting the like button is an invitation to a universal invitation to come join us. Come check it out. If you like what you see, keep coming back. If you don't like what you see, I'm sure there's plenty of places. Well, I don't know a lot, but I know that there's got to be other venues that can meet your needs. Connect with you. I hope I answered your question, Dave. We'll be turning the camera around here in a moment and get started. I have some interesting stuff to go through today. Interesting. And of course, we're going to hit one of the verses in the Tao Te Ching. For those of you that want to know up front, good morning, Higgs. We're going to be covering the 53rd verse of the Tao Te Ching today. Good morning, Calico Meow Kitty. Good morning. He's one of my favorite guys. Aaron. I love that I can call him that. And he doesn't dislike it. If he told me Pops call me Aaron, not Aaron. But honestly, that was one of the who is it? Key and Peele? Something like that. Those two comedians that do stuff together. First time I ever heard him, it was one of those two guys. He was addressing groups and he was pronouncing everyone's name very specifically. And I just died when he said Aaron. First time I ever heard that. Funny stuff. Humor is a great way to start your day. Good morning, Wazzy. Do you agree with me? Is it a really good thing to start your day with some humor? Some feel-goodsies? Right? We try to do that here. A little bit of humor. Kimberly and who else? Zozo says, yes, Pops, we like to laugh in the morning. It's a good way to start our day. There's a lot of serious stuff going on out there. But here, we are definitely serious about what we do, but maybe not how we do it. Kimberly, laughter is the best medicine. It's still one of my favorite parts of the Reader's Digest. Do they still do a Reader's Digest, you guys? Real quick. Is Reader's Digest still a thing? Do you remember that little Reader's Digest you would get? And there would be all the different jokes in it, and then there was a laughter is the best medicine section. Is Reader's Digest still a thing? Or does it go in the way of newspapers and other magazines? Who knows? Right, Sarah Bear? That was my favorite part of Reader's Digest, was to read the jokes. Mike, we don't know. Is it? Somebody look it up. Is Reader's Digest still a thing? If it is, we should read a couple of the jokes out of it. Laughter is the best medicine. Hey, since it's available online now. Yeah. Sarah, I haven't either. I love the size of it. It almost felt like more like a book than a magazine. Am I right? Felt more like I was reading a book. It was the perfect thing to go to the bathroom with. It was the perfect little situation. Anthony Hunt looked it up and he says it's still a thing. Reader's Digest. Your grandma has plenty of back issues. Kim, your grandma. Okay. I would have thought maybe mom, but you're going grandma too. 10 times a year in the U.S. Thank you for looking that up, Nerdy. I wonder what they do with the other. So 10 times a year is something like monthly. What do they do for the 2 months that they're not publishing it? And which 2 months is it? When do they not publish it? FIFO. Oh, Ozzy. Ozzy wants to sound like Jesus Christ in Australia this morning. Good morning. Yeah, they need a vacation. So they take 2 months off. I wouldn't mind a 2-month vacation. But if I went on a 2-month vacation, I would like to go. You know what I would like to do with the 2-month vacation? Let me turn this around. You know what I would like to do if I could take a 2-month vacation? It's kind of hard to do with my operations and the things that we do at the grow house, etc. But you know, I would like to stay in a monastery for a little while. Does that sound weird to you guys? I'd want to go hang out in a monastery and just get myself a deep dive into monastery, monastic life. I think 2 months would give me a good feel for what the heck those guys are doing. Boy, they sure are worried. They sure are diminishing, aren't they? I mean, their lifestyle is a diminishing lifestyle. They're not gathering a bunch of stuff for no reason. Nerdy's agreeing with Pops. Nerdy, you and I see things a lot the same. I wouldn't mind. Just check out, go hang out at a monastery for a couple. Derek Anderson would like it too. Sarah Bear's unplugging at the monastery. Sarah Bear, you're at the Lady Monastery across the dirt road from us, from the Guy Monastery. I have a feeling that we don't want to commingle monasteries because people are people. Kimberly says, just go to rehab. Freddie Hinkle's talking about the wine that they make. Speaking of wine, is punch a type of wine? Could it be? Especially if you spiked the punch. Anybody ever gone to a dance where they spiked the punch? Herbie's turning it into a Mushfest monastery. Oh, gosh. Okay, so there's a viral video out there. I caught a portion of it this morning, and then I said, you guys are going to like this. Nature is an incredible thing. The Tao. What an incredible thing. Okay. I want to show you guys a viral video that I came across this morning. You ready? Punch the baby monkey.
Meet Punch. This 6-month-old Japanese monkey was abandoned by his mother at birth, but zookeepers stepped in, caring for him day and night by hand. And his surrogate mom? A plushy orangutan that is now his safe place and a stand-in for his mother's fur. Punch's story went viral, with many both on and offline cheering him on. Now he is slowly joining the troop, but still clings to his stuffed friend. Meet Punch. This 6-month-old Japanese monkey was abandoned by his mother at birth, but zookeepers stepped in, caring for him day and night.
I want to check your heart.
And his surrogate mom? A plushy orangutan that is now his safe place and a stand-in for his mother's fur. Punch's story went viral, with many both on and offline cheering him on. Now he is slowly joining the troop, but still clings to his stuffed friend.
I want Punch. Punch, come here and I'll take care of you. No, I think he and Ruffy would make good friends. Jessie girl, we have to have a drawing to see who wins Punch. One more time. This just really got to my feels this morning when I watched Punch with his best friend. Smithy, don't you love him? Ava would love Punch. Oh, that's true, hey. When you domesticate them, you never know. Little Punch. Cute name, too. Give me 5 people. Give me 5 people that think Punch is adorbs. I know, Niffy. I knew that. Give me 5 people that think Punch is absolutely adorbs. I love saying the word adorbs. Okay? Punchy. Little Punch. Funny, good morning. Isn't Punch adorable, you guys? I'm gonna have to follow Punch. What a cute little fella. I saw that this morning. I'm like, I gotta show the fam that. You're adorbs when you use the word adorbs. Too true. Totes adorbs. Herbie knows how to do that kind of talk. Good one, Herbs. That's a good one. Wouldn't it be fun if Punch was like right here on my shoulder when we started the show in the morning? That'd be fun. And the orangutan on the other shoulder? And Ruffy on my lap? Stop it, Pops. I'm going to read an article to you guys today. This is pretty darn interesting. What has been interesting is if you're in the IG group chat. Kim, what's the name of it again? Niffer? What's the name of our IG group chat that people can join? It's a group chat on the Instagram page. What's the name of ours? But anyways, HB had on his Mystic Journeys Church Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And they're there Monday, Wednesday through Friday. Derek Anderson does a lovely, lovely show on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Derek, I tuned in last night, and I was a lurker until about the last 15 minutes. And then I finally decided, you know what, I'll just say hi to everybody. But I was listening. You're a sweet, kind man. And just the way you modulate your voice is soothing. And it's a type of medicine in and of itself. Keep up the good work, Derek, and HB, and Nerdy. So they were covered the Minnesota the Myers-Briggs examination, which is a way to come up with 16 different personality types. And you take a quick test. Doesn't take more than about 10 minutes to get through the test. There are some sites out there where you don't have to pay to take the test. And then there's some that are gouging you. They won't give you the result till you send them $877. It's kind of a weird situation. Jesus Christ, this HB has 16%. Into the shots fired. Oh gosh, you guys cracked me up. Anyways, he's been covering that. The church has been covering that, and it's sort of been a fascination. There's been a lot of people dove in and actually took tests and were sharing what their personality types were. There it is, Herbie. Minnesota Multiphasic Personal Inventory. I don't think that's the one that it's a Myers-Briggs. It's Myers-Briggs. Is that the same thing? Yours sounds like a little different test there, the MMPI. Anyways, if you found an interest in that, go check it out. Has anybody else lost sound, or is it just Joe D's? Do you guys have sound? Am I making noise over here? That's the one where we're looking at more. Okay, everybody else seems to be fine. Sorry, Joe. Go find the correct button. Good morning, Taylor. Bud, good morning. Sure good to see Higgs here. Higgs, I wrote to Moms maybe 3 or 4 days ago telling her that I'm in your neighborhood the first week of April going to visit my sister. You've become a requisite stop on my trip to my hanging out with my sister for about a week. Look, I'm gonna make it a longer hangout time this time, but I plan on coming by and hanging out with your guys, with your family. Okay, maybe we can go to dinner or even make dinner or something. We'll do something. Okay, I'm sincerely looking forward to seeing you again, and Moms and your daughter and the baby. Yeah, on our way. We'll be there first week of April. And if you guys remember, in November we did that, and I broadcast our live stream from my sister's office. We'll be doing the same thing that week. Anyways, I came across an article in one of the 4 areas that that they are revealing your test results and talking about your personality. There's introverted and extroverted. Which are you? Real quick. Give me 5 people, tell me what they are. Are you introverted or are you extroverted? Which do you, even if you've never taken the test, which do you think you are? Which one do you identify with? And I think we're all a mixture of both, but which one are you more predominantly? Which one are you more predominant? Sarah's got the eye in front. Introverted. No, I'm not saying it's full time single one thing. Anyways, let's just get into the article. Okay? Introverted or extroverted? I think we can all vary, but which one are you more predominantly? Okay. And just because you talk a lot doesn't mean you're one or the other. But listen to this really neat article. I should get through this pretty quickly. Psychology says people who sit quietly in group sessions, group conversations, instead of fighting to be heard, aren't shy or disengaged. They're processing at a depth that most people have forgotten how to reach. The article goes, I've been the quiet one at enough dinner tables in Brooklyn to know exactly how this script plays out. Someone asks a question, 3 people immediately start talking over each other. I'm sitting with my wine, turning the idea over in my head like a smooth stone, considering the angles, thinking about what I actually want to say. By the time I'm ready to contribute something real, the conversation has moved on. Someone always assumes I'm bored or sad or too shy to join in. The truth is the opposite. I'm the only one actually interested in what everyone had to say. This happens at work meetings. It happens at book clubs. It happened at my divorce mediation, where my lawyer kept nudging me to speak more, as if silence meant I was losing. But nobody seemed to understand what I didn't fully understand myself until I started reading neuroscience, that I wasn't withdrawing from the conversation. I was going deeper into it. While everyone else was competing for airtime, my brain was doing something completely different. Psychology has a name for what's happening in moments like these. It's not shyness. It's not social anxiety. It's deep processing. And it's a fundamentally different way of moving through the world than most people have been trained to recognize. Is this interesting to you guys? Should I go on? Is this an interesting subject? Should I go on? Kimberly, I don't compete for airtime either. Well, I like to listen. I'm learning more and more how to listen, and that the silence is the voice of God. You guys want me to read some more about this? I'm glad you're interested, because I think it's interesting. What's the neuroscience behind the silence? The difference starts in the brain itself. Research in neuroscience has consistently shown that introverted people have a higher baseline cortical arousal. Essentially, their brains are already running at a higher level of stimulation even when they're at rest. This isn't a weakness or a deficit. It's a structural difference in how their nervous system operates. Structural difference. Here's what that means in practical terms. While an extroverted person might feel understimulated in a quiet room and need external input, more talking, more action, more novelty, an introverted person's brain is already processing plenty. They're reaching that optimal level of arousal through internal activity. Different neurotransmitters are actually at play. Extroverts run on dopamine, which rewards novelty and external stimulation. Introverts rely more heavily on acetylcholine, which supports calm, focused, internally directed attention. The deeper processing happens through a specific kind of cognitive work. Psychology calls it a need for cognition, the trait of genuinely enjoying effortful thinking. People high in need for cognition don't just participate in conversations, they metabolize them. They notice the subtext. They connect what's being said to other things that they've read or experienced. They're already 3 steps ahead, thinking about implications and contradictions, turning the conversation into something more complex than just its surface. This is where quiet people aren't actually quiet at all. They're just loud on the inside. When I'm sitting at a table saying nothing, my brain is running through a specific sequence. Someone makes a statement. I immediately check it against what I know. I think about how it might apply to someone else's situation. I consider what the person might actually be feeling beneath what they're saying. I ask myself if my response would actually add something, or if I'd just be joining for the sake of joining. This is the thing people don't grasp about quiet people in group conversations. We're not disengaged. We're curating. I love that. We're filtering. We're deciding what's worth saying and what isn't. Research on deep processing shows that when people engage in this type of reflective thinking, their brain actually demonstrates higher activities in areas associated with semantic processing, meaning making, not just sound making. The Harvard Grant study, one of the longest running psychological studies on human happiness found something striking. People who maintain fewer but deeper relationships report significantly higher life satisfaction than those with large, more superficial social networks. This isn't incidental to how quiet people move through the world. It's central to it. Quiet people in group conversations are not failing at socializing. They're selecting for depth. They're prioritizing quality over velocity. I notice this pattern everywhere now that I'm paying attention. At my pottery class last month, there was a woman who barely spoke during the introduction session. Everyone assumed she was new and nervous. By week 4, she had become the person teaching the other students how to center clay properly, because she'd actually been listening and watching and thinking instead of performing. The quiet ones are processing at a level that looks like absence to everyone else. The social penalty for this kind of thinking is real. There's a documented perception gap that researchers have studied extensively. Studies on perception thresholds and social visibility show that people who speak less frequently are often judged as less competent, less confident, and of course less worthy of leadership. The irony here is very sharp. The people thinking most carefully about what's being said are the ones that are getting read as absent. I experienced this directly during my divorce. My ex-husband's lawyer was loud, performative, kept objecting to everything. My lawyer kept telling me to push back more verbally, to show I cared about the outcome. But I was thinking through every clause. I was considering long-term implications. I was quieter, but I was more careful. The performance of concern read as actual concern to the judge, even though my silence meant I considered more angles than anyone in the room. This misreading extends to how quiet people are perceived in intimate conversations too. Someone once told me I was a good listener because I didn't interrupt. I had to think about how to explain that it wasn't a virtue. It was just the way my brain worked. When someone talks, I'm already spinning their words around, connecting dots, thinking about what they're really talking about, asking and saying. If I interrupt, I'm interrupting myself. But that quietness can read as passivity or a lack of opinion, or even worse case, disinterest. Interestingly, there's a related pattern in how people perceive presence and attention. Research on presence in social situations shows that being fully mentally available, actually thinking about what someone is saying, rather than formulating your next statement, is a trait many people have lost. Quiet people have kept it. Their silence is often the deepest form of presence in the room. The cost of this misunderstanding shows up everywhere. In hiring decisions, where talkative candidates get selected over thoughtful ones. In classrooms, where participation grades reward performance over processing. In relationships, where the person who thinks before speaking gets coded as cold or uncommitted. It's particularly acute in situations involving emotional connection. Someone shares something vulnerable. The quiet person is absorbing it, turning it over, genuinely considering what it means and how to respond with something that actually matters. Meanwhile, the louder people are already offering solutions or sharing their similar story or redirecting the conversations back to themselves. What I've come to realize is the difference between relating and redirecting. The quiet person's delay feels like disengagement, but it's actually the opposite. I've learned this distinction the hard way through my own relationships and friendships. The people I actually trust are the ones who don't need to fill every silence. They're comfortable letting a moment sit. They're thinking about what I said, not waiting for their turn to talk. And it turns out that kind of person is rarer than I initially understood, which might be exactly why the quiet ones in group conversations are so often alone with their thoughts. Almost done. Here's what I've realized after decades of being misread as shy. The world is structured to reward noise. It's built for people who think out loud, who reach for the microphone, who fill silences because silence feels dangerous to them. We've normalized the assumption that more talking equals more thinking, more engagement, more presence. We haven't yet built institutions that recognize that some of the deepest thinking happens in silence. Psychology research on genuine introversion and deep conversation consistently shows that these are not personality flaws. They're a distinct cognitive style with specific advantages. People who process deeply make better long-term decisions. They're more likely to notice ethical problems before they become scandals. They build meaningful relationships rather than a shallow network. They have the kind of self-knowledge that comes from an internal definition rather than external validation. When I stopped trying to force myself to speak more quickly in group settings, something shifted. I started choosing my words with intention. People actually listened when I did speak because they learned I only contributed when I had something to say. The quiet people weren't losing. We were just playing a different game. One where the payoff comes later, in actual understanding and connection, rather than in momentary airtime. The next time you're in a room where someone isn't fighting to be heard, you might ask yourself what you're actually seeing. It could be shyness, it could be social anxiety, but it could also be someone whose brain is doing the work most people have stopped doing. The kind of deep, careful, reflective thinking that turns surface level conversations into something that's actually quite meaningful. The quiet ones aren't absent. They're just thinking in a way that becomes invisible to a world obsessed with noise. And that's exactly where the depth lives. The real question isn't why quiet people don't speak more. It's why we've decided that speaking more matters in the first place. And perhaps what we're all missing, while we're too busy being heard, is to actually listen to what's being said. There's a reason conversation habits that signal low social awareness so often involve talking without thinking. Because we've been trained, and we've trained ourselves to move at a speed that thinking can't match. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of that? You know what it tells me? It tells me to be quiet more when I'm in group. Process. I think we can practice it, even though it may not come naturally. I think we can grow into that pattern. What do you think? And it goes down to the level of judgment. We immediately make snap judgments about people, and we really don't know what's actually going on inside them. We've been talking about this a lot during our recent course here in the Tao. Silence is golden. And that's hard to say as I'm sitting here yakking into my computer, but I want you to know I don't talk a lot like I do here. I do a lot more listening than I do talking. I want to have something important to say if I choose to speak. It's powerful. It's powerful. Kimberly's nailing it with the third agreement. Don't make assumption about what goes on in other people's heads. Robert Greene says silence is power. I believe that. I agree with that. Silence is the voice of God. When someone says, yeah, God was speaking to me, my next question to them is, how loud was he? How loud was he? It also tells me that lurkers aren't a bad thing. I love that article. I love rethinking how we've been trained by the world to be loud and noisy. And the louder and the noisier people, well, they should be leading. Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's the other way around. 53rd verse of the Tao Te Ching. It's a fascinating verse. In the Marine Corps, we were taught from boot camp on, programmed, death before dishonor. Death before dishonor. And that's really more about not dishonoring your brothers in arms. The guy standing next to you, you will die before you will dishonor him or the unit or the mission. That's a warrior thought. Death before dishonor. It's not as prevalent in the regular world. There's a lot of dishonor. Let's take a look at this. If I have even just a little sense I should walk in the great way, and my only fear would be straying. The great way is very smooth, and it's straight. And yet people prefer devious paths. That is why the court is corrupt. The fields lie in waste, and granaries are empty. Look around our world. Look at the Ukrainian countryside, destroyed. Fields lie in waste. Look at the Gaza Strip. Granaries are empty because there's been so much dishonor. Let me move on. Dressing magnificently, wearing a sharp sword, stuffing oneself with food and drink, amassing wealth to the extent of not knowing what to do with it, is being a robber. I say this pomp at the expense of others is like the boasting of thieves after a looting. This is not the Tao. I want to read that one section again. Dressing magnificently. Your Brooks Brothers suits. Your $3,000 outfits. The cost of gowns to walk down a red carpet. Dressing magnificently and wearing a sharp sword. Stuffing oneself with food and drink. Amassing wealth to extent of not even knowing what to do with it is being a robber. That same dress, that same suit could have bought hundreds of loaves of bread. You robbed people because of your priorities. You brought dishonor to yourself because you thought of yourself first and what you looked like rather than who you could give to and help. Imagine that you were able to view the world from a position of complete honor and oneness. Everywhere you looked, you saw the great way and saw all of it as you. From this perspective, everyone who's ever existed or will exist is a part of you, birthed at the same source you were birthed at. All of life, the creatures, the land, the oceans, and the vegetation are connected by the Tao. From this perspective, your worldview will change drastically. If a critical mass of humanity has this same perspective, seeing the whole globe as part of ourselves, that would translate to the same respect for every form of life that we have for our individual bodies. You don't want a finger cut off. I don't want to lose an arm. I don't want anything bad to happen to my body. Oh, but we don't mind if it happens to other people. Matter of fact, we instigate it because we don't see them as a part of ourselves. Give me 5 people that get that. That person you don't like much annoys you. It's one of your fingers. Are you going to learn to live with it? Are you going to learn to honor it? Or are you just going to cut it off? I don't want to cut anything off anymore. I don't. This new perspective tells me they're all part of me. Despite all our technological advances, the words that this great Chinese master wrote 2,500 years ago still apply. Unfortunately, we're far removed from the Great Way, for we continue to see divisions rather than a sense of unified oneness. As Lao Tzu admonishes at the end of the verse, this is not the Tao. I'm hoping that this platform, not hoping, I'm working with it. This platform is a little nugget in the on the planet that teaches things differently and wants to see the world through a cohesive, honorable vision that connects all of us. The group practices it with each other. I see you every morning being kind and wonderful to each other. In your comments, and in your attitude, in your gifting. Take it beyond this group. Take it into your home. Take it into your workplace. Take it into your classrooms. Take it into your hobbies. Take it into the places you volunteer. You are a kernel of growth. How you perceive the world and act accordingly becomes a model for other people. A model for other people. Hussin' Happy, what a nice thing he just wrote, or she. I've analyzed thousands of channels across my 15 million subscriber network, and you're a rough diamond, T-Crew. Not Pops, the T-Crew. Rough diamond, waiting for the right polish. Honestly, I've spent millions on marketing strategies. We're not going to spend millions. We're going to change our worldview. That was very kind. You rough diamonds out there. One of my favorite translations of this 53rd verse of the Tao Te Ching was written in 1944 by Witter Bynner. He expresses it perfectly. See how fine the palaces, and see how poor the farms. How bare the peasants' granaries, while gentry wear embroideries, hiding sharpened arms. And the more they have, the more they seize. How can there be such men as these, who never hunger, never thirst, and yet they eat and they drink until they burst? You can see these conditions still exist today. Whole continents of people experience starvation, while a few in positions of power live in opulence and grandeur. Weapons of destruction receive funding, while millions live in poverty. Leaders sit down to overflowing plenitude, while the masses scrounge around for ways to feed their families and heat their homes. Leaders, those aren't leaders. Those are people that are taking advantage. A leader is the last to eat. A leader leads you. He leads you to open fields where you can eat plentifully. We have them everywhere in the world. You seen some of those meals they have? I know. Let's build a banquet room on the east wing of the White House, filled with grandeur, and people in our country are starving, literally. Close the government down. We don't care if people's food stamps and EBT cards don't work anymore. I'm having filet mignon tonight, baby. It's a warped worldview. And it's being taught so prevalently that people are buying into it every single day. I have family members, not direct family, I have family members that all they care about is how big their house is, how much they can amass. When was the last time that same person said, no, I'm not going to buy this next big thing that I just can't live without for 3 days? Or when am I going to volunteer and give this back to the world? I'm not writing these words to change the world in one fell swoop. Rather, I'm trying to encourage you to change the world, the way you see the world. Your world. This is your world. It's not their world. Though they may make you believe that. If you make that modification, others will gravitate towards honorable just as easily as to dishonor. As a matter of fact, I would say more. Practice a life of honor, and people will gravitate to you. Because it's a much better way to live. And we all know it internally. Even those with conspicuous consumption. We all know it internally. When enough of us do this, we'll reach a critical mass that will eliminate the boasting of thieves after a looting. They boast in our faces. Begin by seeing yourself as the environment rather than an organism within it. Understand that you can't survive apart from what doesn't seem like a part of you. For you absolutely are air. You're the water. You're the plants. You're the animals. And everyone else on the planet. Change your worldview to that. And now starve an animal. We wouldn't starve that little monkey. Punch. Oh, how cute Punch is. And he is. We wouldn't starve Punch. But we'll starve each other. Change your worldview to one that completely understands that when someone else is starving or they're living in poverty, so are you. That is so heavy, you guys. That is so heavy. When someone on this planet is starving, so are you. It makes you just want to go out there and do everything you can to change other people's worldview. It makes you want to do a YouTube channel and sit here and raise your voice and get passionate. Makes you want to do the right things all the time, living honorably. Lao Tzu was obviously distressed by the conditions of hard-heartedness and indifference that he observed in ancient China. So he appealed to all to live honorably through the emulation of the Tao, rather than from the ego perspective of separateness. And now he asks you to change your worldview. Change the way you look at the blatant imbalances in the world. Noting how your world changes to align with the Tao that you live honorably. Make compassion the essential foundation of your personal philosophy. Oh my God, I'm going to say that one again. Make compassion the essential foundation of your personal philosophy. Feeling guilty about what you've amassed or what you're wallowing in? Sadness over the plight of starving won't change things, but making compassion the foundation of your personal philosophy will. This is one of the most significant ways of initiating growth of a critical mass. As that mass grows, kind hearts and actions will align our planet. Like-minded leaders will emerge, and gross inconsistencies will be reduced and eventually eliminated. Leaders are emerging from this D group as we speak. Go check them out on their YouTube channels and the churches they're forming. They're not doing that for attention. They're not doing that because they're feeding their ego. If they were, I wouldn't trumpet them. If I could divine just a small amount of that ego gratification, I wouldn't be involved. They're doing that because they want to change the worldview. Their worldview's already changing. Now they feel it's honorable to attempt to change other people's worldview, one view at a time. Mother Teresa was an outstanding example of how one person's way of seeing the world can change the world itself. In each person I see, she said, I see the face of Christ in one of his most distressing disguises. I see in each person, I see the face of Christ in one of his most distressing disguises. Walk in the great way by doing charity work or supporting candidates for public office who embody compassionate action. Vow to make a difference on a daily basis throughout your life. It might be as simple as refusing to join in, denouncing others, or categorizing them as evil or defective. I've made that vow. I've stopped doing that to the politicians in our country. I was really good at it. Judging. Telling them they're wrong, they said I'm right. None of that is what is the key. The key is changing my worldview. Every one of them that I used to criticize and judge harshly and loudly is a part of my body. I can change. I can be an instrument of change. I vow daily to be an instrument of change. As my life changes and my worldview morphs to a Tao-centric point of view, it becomes easier and easier to spend your day not thinking about yourself but others. So many of the wars that currently rage on our planet are rooted in religious hatred, and that perpetuates the imbalance pointed out in this verse of the Tao Te Ching. In the morning excerpt from the Quran, the great prophet Muhammad tells the followers of Islam to practice compassionate action. That whole terrorist business, that is not what Muhammad taught. It's a permutation of. They're actually taught by a very great master. And guess what these great masters all did? They all went away for a while. They went away for years. We have the hidden years of Jesus. We have the cave life of Muhammad. We have Buddha doing the way he did. They took time out to be what? Silent. And emerge with a completely different worldview. One that was filled with compassion. If there's one word, here's the excerpt from the Quran. Behave beneficent. There we go. Behave beneficently toward the neighbor that is a kinsman and the neighbor that is a stranger and to the companion at your side. He who behaves ill towards a neighbor is not a believer, and he never can be. One who eats his fill while his neighbor is hungry, right by his side, is not a believer. That's what the Quran says. The scripture says the first will be last. Pushing yourself to the front and having the most, you're the last. Make a daily practice at opening your heart in compassion when you see someone less fortunate than yourself. Give him or her a silent blessing rather than a thought of scorn, ridicule, blame, or indifference. When I see a homeless person, my ex-wife and I used to argue to death about this. She'd see a homeless person and go, ew, that's disgusting. That person ought to get a job. They shouldn't be standing out there with a placard begging. And I would say, is that what you learned in church this week? Is that what they teach you? Because the way I read things says that person, that unfortunate person, should be receiving a blessing from me, and I should be reaching my hand out, helping them, not judging them with scorn and ridicule and blame. Or worse, indifference. Do the same. When you learn how many of them were killed in any skirmish, rather than rejoicing about the dead enemies, say a silent prayer of love and compassion. Live honorably. Let compassion be the foundation of your personal philosophy. I got a little carried away here today, didn't I, you guys? I feel this so deeply because I look at the world and I look at the inequities. And I want to make a difference. I want to be an agent of change. That's what this program's for. It's not to build one person up. It's not to be, look at me. That's why I've actually stopped showing mushrooms and stuff. Remember 2-3 years ago? Look at this big one! I'm evolving as a result of changing my worldview. I don't have to show somebody a big mushroom. I have to give it away. I don't have to wave it in front of the world. I have to send it to somebody. Does that make sense to you? You're watching an evolution. Does that make sense? Give me feedback. Watch Pops be quiet for just a minute. Watch him speak with them with the voice of God. Quietly. Hey, Abe Westy. I get carried away, you guys. I know that. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I don't endeavor to be so. Compassion. The foundation of my personal philosophy. Attract others to you. Spread the word of a new worldview. And it's not new. Lao Tzu's been teaching this one for 2,500 years. And the world isn't listening. But we are. And don't grow weary from doing good works, because they aren't recognized immediately. It takes time. When you plant a seed, it takes a little while for it to grow. Well, I did it yesterday and nobody's listening today. Give it time. You'll grow. And more people will be attracted to you. We're going on 5 years here. I never thought I would do something for 5 straight years like this in my whole life. I have at least another 5 in me. I have at least, well, give me 5 more years. I love you guys. Thank you for listening to me this morning. Thank you for paying attention to the Tao in your life. Thank you for exhibiting the growth you do, practicing compassion and charity, when you could be amassing wealth to yourself instead. The inner satisfaction you have from helping someone far exceeds owning a yacht. I need to tell you that from personal experience. Personal experience. I can't speak without knowing it's true. And how I know things are true is empirically through my own personal experience. Let compassion be the foundation of your personal philosophy. Thank you again for listening. We always end with the 4 agreements. Be impeccable. We should add another agreement. Be honorable. Be honorable. Have a life filled with honor for other people around you. Be willing to lay your life down. Death before dishonor. If I could do that on a battlefield, I can do it in a place where there is no battle. Second agreement, don't take things personal. What people think about you, what they say about you, what they gossip about you, it means nothing unless you allow it to mean something. But make no assumptions and have no expectations. Do the Tao because the Tao did you. And do your best today. Do your best to be compassionate. Just when you're about to judge that person, when you're just about to criticize, when you're just about to send a text, a creepy message, or not even, like, just join in. Somebody's got some weird meme, whatever. And oh yeah, you put your little 2 cents in. Was that compassionate? what I just did? Or should I have not done that? I'm going to delete it. Pretty soon we're going to get to the point where we don't have to delete it because we never sent it. That's a beautiful day. When you don't even send the crap out there anymore. Because you know it hurts. It's hurting you because everything is a part of you. You're just hurting yourself. So be compassionate for yourself as well. Scrolling you guys out of here. I'll see you tomorrow. I hope we have a good message too tomorrow. Today I got fired up and I like it. I like it. I'm on fire. And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to spread the Tao to the world. Even those that don't understand it, I might need to use a different vocabulary. But I'm going to be of service today. Not asking to be served, but looking for who I can serve. HB, Captain Obvious and Mellow and Jesse Girl, Mike Butterball. Good morning, Mikey. Kimberly, the Golden Bolden. Niffy, there's my girl. Derek Anderson, Taylor Reese. I Westy, yearning to be fruitful. I love that. Anthony Big Gun Hunts. Cleany, I love you too, and I love you very much. Jesse Girl and Jesus Christ in Australia. Classic, good morning, Classic. Derek Anderson. One afternoon trip of fuel would be feed huge people, huge amounts of people. Sandham and Mellow. And Kimberly, keep spreading a positive message and be kind. Aaron and HB. And Laura, you have a divine day. Zozo LSD. Trenty the Trenty Trenterson. Sarah Bear, big hugs. Hughes Views. Thank you for being here, Hughes. And thank you for that comment. Greenie, have a great day. Mr. Phillips. I'm scrolling. Let's see who else is here that I haven't said. Good morning, Cyber Jolie. Good morning. Taylor Reese, thank you. Calico, Meow Kitty. Thank you, Calico. Hugh, you too. Sarah and Jesse and Cleany. Who else do we have that I haven't mentioned? The Wizzy, the Wazzy Wazerton. Good morning, my great friend Wazzy. HB, and thank you, Mike. And Joe D's and Billy D. Good morning, Bill. Who else? Lizzie 18. Nice to see you, Lizzie. Who else? Real quick, I'm scrolling because I've already said hello to you guys. Okay? Who else can I say hello to this morning? Viva Vibes, that's Pidgey Page. What a sweet, smart lady. Sammy P. And going downtown. Was it? Okay. HB Schroemdigger. Captain Obvious. Billy D. HB. Dando. Oh, I know, we're getting close, aren't we, Dan? As soon as we can get some of that ice off the river, we can go fishing. Love you too. I love every single person here. Because you're all part of me. And I'm part of you. Whether you know it or not. Whether you like it or not. Have a great day. I love you guys. Make compassion the foundation of your personal philosophy. Watch it change your world. And then the world keeps changing, as Kim reminds us often, as we ripple. Pops, peace, love, serve, and be kind. I'll see you guys tomorrow.